Hello everybody. In this video we will try to focus on the Rahu's transit impact on India's horoscope. So India is considered to be a Pisces ascendant. So we are considering 26 January 1950 10 a.m. horoscope, New Delhi as the capital city. Some people may consider 15th August 1947 horoscope with 12 a.m. IST as the birth time and as the capital city, New Delhi. But definitely in our previous videos I explained the reasons why we are considering Pisces ascendant for India. It's very much reasonable to consider Pisces ascendant for India. Okay, so you can watch the previous videos of this particular the April 2022 to April 2025 series of India. So what is happening currently? Why Rahu's transit is really very much important for India? Because Rahu is transiting in the second house. If you consider Pisces ascendant for India. So what is second house? Second house is just after the first house. First house is about the existence of something. So when you want to define something, right? Define the birth of something, the physical strength of something, the behavioral strength of something, then you can generally consider the first house, whether it is natal astrology or mundane astrology. Once the existence of something is in a better position, is okay, then you try to focus on the second house, which is the house of resources. So when a person or a country has some good amount of existence energy, then the next thing we try to understand is the resources, right? Resources for further development, for further existence, for further growth. So that second house is really important, for the person to move forward, to grow forward, right? It's same thing for the country also. So the whole concept, see in natal astrology what we say, the second house is your bank balance, second house is your family support, your family, your food, right? That is second house. Why we say food, your bank balance, your family and your family support is your second house? Because they help you to grow further. So if you don't have a good family, the family support, the good amount of income, right, good amount of bank balance, good amount of food or the right food for nourishment, then you cannot grow further, right? So that's what we say in natal astrology, the individual horoscope astrology. But here in the nation also, for nations also, we consider the second house is house of resources. In order to run the country, you need some resources. So when Rahu transits the house of resources, it generally creates some problems there. Of course, you may say if Rahu is very much beneficial there, then he may give a lot of resources. But remember one thing from our previous videos, even though Rahu is beneficial sometimes, even though it gives more number of resources, on the other side of it, it gives ample amount of problems. So that is Rahu basically. Rahu is nothing but the struggle. Whether it can give money or not, whether it can give the resources or not, right? If he is not beneficial, then of course he is not going to give any kind of resources. At the same time, he is going to give problems also. If he is beneficial, he is going to give all the benefits, all the beneficial things, and at the same time struggles also. So struggles are compulsory here. Struggles are assured related to the house where Rahu is transiting. So that is the fundamental thing. Struggles in the sense, you need to put more efforts there in that particular house related to the matters of that particular house, right? So as a simple example, if you talk about the Sagittarius ascendant people, right? So for Sagittarius ascendant people, so Rahu is transiting in their 5th house. So from this 13th April 2022 onwards, Rahu started transiting the 5th house for Sagittarius ascendant people. And what happens because of that? So the Sagittarius ascendant people may have to put a lot of efforts in the matters of 5th house from 13th April 2022 onwards. Till what time? Rahu transits every sign for 1.5 years. So till the end of 2023, the Sagittarius ascendant people may have to put a lot of efforts in the matters of 5th house. What is 5th house generally? 5th house is house of progeny, house of children, house of creativity. It's the house of bachelor degree. It's the house of sports. So if the person is already married and if he has kids, yes, he has to put a lot of efforts on the 5th house. If the person is studying bachelor degree, yes, he has to put a lot of efforts in that bachelor degree, right? And let us say the person is actually a sports person, then it is the struggling time for that particular person. He has to put a lot of efforts there in the 5th house, right? So whatever, so 5th house is house of love matters also. If the person is in a love relationship, then yes, he may have to experience some kind of struggle in the 5th house. I'm talking about the Sagittarius ascendant guys, ascendant people, right? So in the matters of love, Rahu of course may give a magnetic relationships, but at the same time, as we discussed, Rahu gives mental pain, Rahu gives struggle there. So even though Sagittarius ascendant people may experience some may encounter some magnetic people in the upcoming days, but at the same time they may have to take the mental pain related to that love affair, right? So that is the fundamental thing. So 5th house matters, whatever may be the 5th house matters. So the person have to put efforts, the Sagittarius ascendant people I'm talking about. The same thing, if you talk about the Capricorn ascendant people, then they may have to put more efforts in the 4th house matters, because Rahu started transiting the 4th house, right? That is the house of Aries from 13th April 2022 onwards, and he will be there till 2023 end. So Capricorn ascendant people, what they have to do here? So they have to put a lot of efforts in the matters of property, vehicles, and if the person is studying 11th standard or 12th standard, there he has to put a lot of efforts. And 4th house is about mother, so he has to put a lot of efforts on the motherly related things. So the person may get into some clash with his mother, right? 13th April 2022 onwards, or he has to think a lot about his mother. Some pain is involved there, definitely. And in the matters of property, agricultural lands, because fourth house is about property and agricultural lands, it's about vehicles, it's about relatives. So the person may experience some kind of problems from relatives. I'm talking about the Capricorn ascendant guys here, because Rahu is transiting the fourth house for Capricorn ascendant guys, right? So fourth house is also about 11th standard and 12th standard. So if the person is studying 11th and 12th standard, then yes, the person has to put lot of efforts, right, in order to come out of the problems involved in the 11th standard or 12th standard, and of course there is mental pain. And relatives, fourth house is the house of relatives. So with respect to relatives, the person may experience some kind of unwelcoming situation, and the people may have to, the Capricorn ascendant people may have to put some efforts there. And fourth house is about mind. Person may have some mental pain, right? Because the mind is continuously thinking. The person is putting a lot of efforts in thinking, right? So that can also happen. It started happening from 13th April 2022 onwards, and it will happen till the end of 2023, right? For Capricorn ascendant guys, I just talked about, right? So the same thing here for India. If you talk about India, a Pisces ascendant, all right, a second house is under struggle, so resources under struggle. So what are resources? What are basically resources of a country? In order to run a country, we need some resources. Water can be resource, right? The people can be resources, human resources, of course. And whatever energy forms we are using, the electricity and the water and the food, mainly the food, right? So these are all the resources, and even income of the people, that is also a resource. So all these things would be under struggle in the upcoming days. That is for around 1.5 years of time. That is till the end of 2023. So we already discussed this, the Rahu's impact, in our previous videos, just the India series, India April 2022 to April 2025. In that series, we already discussed the impact of Rahu, because to an extent, the same lines we discussed. If you go to those videos, you can understand. But again here, we are trying to understand, right, the main impact of Rahu alone here in this particular video. So this is one thing. And if I want to go more deeper, right, if I want to go more deeper, I may try to concentrate on the nakshatra lord, right, the nakshatra lord of Rahu also here. So April 13th April 2022, Rahu started transiting the second house, that is the Aries. For India it is the second house, because we considered India is of Pisces ascendant. Now Rahu started transiting from Kritika nakshatra. We already know that Rahu and Ketu, they always retrograde, and so it started from Kritika nakshatra. So who is the lord of Kritika nakshatra? Sun is the lord of Kritika nakshatra. Please do watch this video in the full screen mode so that you can see the details completely here. So Kritika's lord is Sun. So I am going to apply a principle here. because whenever you try to predict based upon nakshatras, this principle also comes into the picture, and this principle may give some kind of good predictions. So the principle is every planet works for its nakshatra lord. What does it mean actually? Every planet works for its nakshatra lord. So here Rahu, of course it is transiting the second house, so it is going to create some problems in the second house. At the same time, it has to work for the areas, right, where its nakshatra lord is falling into. Okay, so Rahu's nakshatra lord currently is Sun, because it started with Kritika nakshatra, right? So Sun, where is Sun basically? So as long as Rahu is in the Kritika nakshatra, its star lord becomes Sun only, because Kritika's nakshatra lord, Kritika nakshatra's lord is Sun. So Sun is also in the second house. So Sun also represents king here. So Rahu is going to create problems in the matter. So Rahu is going to create some problems related to the matters of Sun also, because Sun is the nakshatra lord. So every planet works for its nakshatra lord, but how it works? So Rahu generally works very rashly. He is going to give mental pain, whether he is going to work nicely or not. He is going to give mental pain to the houses where its nakshatra lord is also falling into. He is going to give some kind of mental pain there, definitely. So Rahu is actually in the Kritika nakshatra, so its the nakshatra lord is Sun. So Sun is also in the second house. So you can say Rahu is going to give problems to the ruler of the country, that is, to an extent, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, may experience some problems as long as Rahu is in the Kritika nakshatra, right? So to an extent, he is going to face some problems, and especially in the matters of second house, that is, in the matters of food, in the matters of means it's not about a prime minister alone, it's about the country. So the prime minister has to take the pain of the country in the matters of food, in the matters of electricity, in the matters of energies that are running the country, the financial energies. The finance is one of the fundamental things to run the country. So this is where even the prime minister of our country is going to put maximum of his efforts. That is where his mental pain presents. So that is where a mental pain is present actually, right? So improving the resources of the country. Of course, every time every ruler tries to improve the resources of his own country, but here it becomes the priority, it becomes the first thing, and it creates mental pain, right? A considerable amount of mental pain is created here. So as long as Rahu is in the Kritika nakshatra, it is going to create problems related to the ruler in the matters of second house. At the same time, if you just move this one to May, that time also Rahu is in the Kritika nakshatra, but the time Sun is transiting in the third house of Indian horoscope, that is Taurus. Taurus is the third house for Indian horoscope because it is the Pisces ascendant one, right? This one is of Pisces ascendant. India is of Pisces ascendant, as we discussed. So Rahu creates problems in the matters of third house by May, because in the matters of third house for the ruler means it's for the country, you can say. So what is third house? Third house is related to the transportation of the country, the communication of the country, the communication industry of the country, the marketing industry of the country. So the third house relates to that. It's mainly transportation. So around May ending, right? You can check when sun actually has gone to this particular house of Taurus, which is the third house for India, right? So you can just make it 13th May, 14th May, it's 15th May, 16th May, around 16th May onwards. So clearly sun is in the third house for India, and Rahu is in the Kritika nakshatra. So Rahu is going to create problems to the country in the matters of second house for sure, in the matters of second house continuously for the next 1.5 years till the end of 2023. Rahu is going to create the problems for India in the matters of second house, that is the house of resources. So in the matters of resources, it is going to create problems. Additionally, it has to work for its nakshatra lord, and its nakshatra lord is sun, which is going to transit the third house from 16th May onwards. So from that time onwards, the transportation industry of India would be under struggle. So they may not have good amount of profits. They may not have a very good time from 16th May 2022 onwards, right? So if you just move it to June, then Rahu transit, it started transiting a Bharani nakshatra. So it left sun by June. So by June 15th, around 15th June. So clearly, so let me make it so around 15th June onwards, Rahu started transiting the Bharani nakshatra. Bharani nakshatra's lord is Venus, the Shukra, right? So that time again, of course, for the next 1.5 years, Rahu is going to create problems in the matters of resources. Additionally, it is going to work for its nakshatra lord. Here the nakshatra lord is Venus. So it is going to create problems, or it is going to make the country to work more on the matters of the house where the nakshatra lord is transiting. Here Venus is transiting the second house. Again, from 15th June 2022 onwards, Venus started transiting the second house. So again, Rahu is going to create problems in the matters of second house more, right? Related to what? Related to Venus. So Venus signifies what? Venus generally signifies the celebrations. So Venus generally signifies the entertainment industry, the movie industry. Venus mainly represents food industry, right? So Venus is like bliss. Venus is love. Venus is entertainment industry. So around 15th June onwards, you can see Rahu is going to create problems, right, in the matters of Venus for India. So Venus is love, Venus is entertainment industry, the movie industry, Venus is food, Venus is to an extent water. So water related problems can also be expected, or it so the so here Rahu makes India to work more for food, because Venus is food, and Venus is vehicles also to an extent, Venus is buildings also to an extent, right? Buildings, vehicles, most of the materialistic energy you can associate with Venus, and here Rahu is also involved, so more materialism. So the problem is related to buildings, vehicles, food, the movie industry, all those things you will experience from 15 June 2022. So they will experience more problems from 15 June 2022 onwards, right? So now let me move ahead. So 15th July, so it happens till Venus is in the second house. Venus is in the second house, then it is related to the second house matters, but that is resources related to Venus, right? So the food industry is going to experience a lot of problems. That is what we can say in common here. So the moment Venus is moving into the third house, so now around after 15th June, around in 10 days, it would move to a third house. That is again transportation industry would have some kind of problems, right? So till Venus is in, because Rahu still is representing Bharani Nakshatra, which is the nakshatra of Venus. So again Venus is in the third house here. So Rahu continues to give the problems related to the resources, that is related to the third house, which is transportation again. So transportation industry may not have a very good time there. Clearly till the, let me make it so Venus is still there, so transportation industry may suffer in the month of June and July. Venus is still there. So Venus left the third house, that is the Taurus, for India around 13th July, 14th July. Yeah, 14th July it left, and it goes to the fourth house, right, for India. So definitely from that time onwards, you can see the problems in this particular fourth house. The fourth house related matters are the agricultural industry, the buildings, right, the general buildings, the government buildings especially, right? So Rahu is going to create problems in that area. Around 14 July, you can see problems would be related to the government buildings, the agricultural lands, the properties of government, right? Can be something like, there can be any situation, something like the government may want to sell some of the buildings of its own, but people may not be very much interested, right? Or otherwise the state governments of individual states may not be interested, because Sun is involving more here during that time, because Sun is going to be with Venus that time. So Sun is government, rulership, right? And here Rahu Mars conjunction is also present there. So definitely it is going to create some severe problems related to agriculture, the buildings, the lands in the country, right? Whatever the fourth house matters, right? Even you can say fourth house is a kind of it's a kind of happiness of the people. So the happiness of the people would also be under struggle there, right? So that's what it is showing here, right? Then so still Rahu is showing Bharani after that in the month of July. So in the month of July you can experience the problems in the fourth house, that is buildings and all the stuff for India, right? So the whole July is for agriculture problems, and India would talk about the agricultural stuff and buildings, government buildings. The happiness of the people may not be very much comfortable there. So around August, so this particular Venus is leaving the fourth house and it will transit the fifth house. So the fifth house is related to sports. So there would be some problem coming there related to sports there, and related to the innovative capacity of a country. So the country may put a lot of efforts in innovation and all the stuff, and also stock markets would struggle there in August, in the month of August. So you can clearly see the stock markets would have a kind of very painful situation there, right? So that is one thing you can say. So here, because see, Rahu's transit is very much important. So August is all about stock market things. India would talk more about the stock market stuff. Now around September, so you can say Venus is going to leave fifth house and it is entering the sixth house, and this is where, so the sixth house is always related to the border issues for a country, border issues of a country, right? So during September, India talks about the border stuff because Rahu is there in the Bharani Nakshatra, the Lord is in the Venus. So definitely the sixth house matters a lot, the border issues. India may talk about the border issues from that time onwards, around August 31st. Yeah, around 31st August, you can see the border issues, right? So that is one thing. So 31st August, and then so Venus is would transit the sixth house there. So then, yes, so 31st August to 24th September, you can see the border issues and all this stuff. And even after that, that is 25th September 2022, you can clearly see the seventh house is coming into the picture there. The seventh house of India, that is Virgo, is coming into the picture. So seventh house is generally about, whenever we want to check war related stuff, then we check the seventh house. So here, especially the Jupiter is in the Pisces, and the debilitated Venus is going to be debilitated there, and Rahu is situated in the second house and in the Bharani Nakshatra, which is actually going to work for Venus. a debilitated Venus, and Sun, Moon, Mercury involved, Mercury exalted there, or Mercury is actually enjoying there. So the news channels, they are enjoying there, means they have more news to publish and everything. So this is a kind of it can be a kind of war news also, because the seventh house is under struggle, and this seventh house struggle is directly watching the country's uh, lord, that is Jupiter. So these things in opposition, especially, so it can lead to some kind of maybe it is trying to show some kind of war situation with respect to India also, or its public relations, especially the relationship with other countries of India would be under struggle, clearly under struggle, because Venus is completely down there, and Rahu is working for the zero Venus there, right? And what kind of work Rahu is going to do that time? Especially, it's a negative work, right? So totally around the September is a month of so 31st August onwards, if there are some kind of border issues, and then in the month of September is a kind of border issues going on, some kind of war situation going on, or some kind of problems related to the relationship with other countries would be going on, or uh, you know so this situation is not so worst, so it may not be a very big war, or some kind of news about war involving India, something, right, we may come across, because only the situation is not so good. So India's relationship with other countries may not be so very good, especially the countries uh, involving the sign of Virgo, right? Because Venus is not there. Venus is, of course, is not there, but Venus is operating the time, right? Venus is operating for Rahu that time. So Rahu is working for Venus that time. And that is the seventh house for India, which is the house of relationships, and also it has to be seen whenever you want to judge wars and all this stuff. So a kind of war news, right? But it may not be a very big war, or it may not be a very big war situation, because there is no involvement of Saturn or Mars here. Mars is actually watching the sixth house here, so it is still the border issues, right? So if Mars is at least watching this seventh house, then we can expect some kind of some kind of war involvement. Mars is at 23 degrees, so let me increase this Mars. So Mars is at 27 degrees. So let me try increasing Mars. So Mars is now watching Venus, at least he's trying to watch Venus there, and Rahu is still in Bharani Nakshatra. So Mars is watching Venus, and Saturn is not watching Venus, but Jupiter is watching this particular Venus. So there is a mixed situation you can always expect here, because Jupiter is the planet of existence for India. So it is going to rule the existence of India. So at least Jupiter is watching this particular Rahu related, right? So Rahu star lord, that is Venus. So at least it's a kind of mixed situation. It may not be a very big war, but it's a kind of news related to war you can expect. But at least Saturn is not watching it, only Mars is watching it, and Jupiter is also watching it, right? So September, October, it's a kind of mixed situation, and and after that Venus just left it. So Venus just joined the sudden events, uh, and also it can be related to the opposition party there, right? So maybe during this particular period, that is in the month of October, uh, India would be starting, means ruler of India would be starting more, uh, more confrontation from the opposition parties. So there would be some kind of problem with the opposition party for the existing government. So that is around the 20th October, you can say. Yeah, that is around 20th October, right? So, and after that Rahu still continues to be in the Bharani Nakshatra, and again there is a problem with opposition. There is a problem, right? More problem with the opposition parties and all the stuff. More questioning, most probably, from opposition. So it's a kind of tough situation there for the ruler of the country, right? But you can say these people, Narendra Modi ji or Yogi Adityanath, they are a bit, uh, intelligent enough to answer the opposition. And so this is and also still this particular Venus transiting in the Libra, right? So there is a kind of opposition, is a problem kind of thing from the opposition party there in the month of October, at the end of October or November, the first initial days of November. But I also want to say one thing. We also made one video that is on May 4th. So on May 4th, the interesting thing, May 4th, 2022, the interesting thing is in the Navamsha, almost all the planets are going to be debilitated, except Mars. So Ketu is not comfortable there in Gemini, and some people say, of course, there is no debilitation point defined for Ketu, but people say Gemini is the debilitation area there for Ketu, and Rahu would not be comfortable in the Sagittarius, and a kind of debilitation because Rahu doesn't like rules, and Mercury is debilitated there in the Pisces, right, in the sign of Pisces, and Venus is of course debilitated in Virgo, and even more if you just move this time to some period. Saturn is not debilitated. Saturn is exalted there. Sorry if I say Saturn is not comfortable there or something. Sun is going to be debilitated if you just change the time on 4th April. So let me make it, it's not early in the morning, definitely it can be, why it's not going to, so let me make it 8:22 p.m. 9:22 p.m. or 10:22. Yes, so if I move this one to 11:22 p.m., even Moon can go to Scorpio there. It's not comfortable. So here Mars is in the Mula Trikona house, it's very comfortable, and Saturn is exalted in Libra, very much comfortable. The two malefic planets are very much comfortable there, and they are in opposition, Saturn and Mars. Just watch the 4th May 2022 video, right? Jupiter is in Leo, the minister in the court, right? Writing something for the world, right? New rules, something like that for the world. So the 4th May 2022 is really interesting. We already made a video on that, and it's present in the channel. So and Sun is not at all comfortable here. Sun is debilitated in the Navamsha, right? And Saturn and Mars, the axis, forming axis, and on that axis you can see the debilitated Sun in the Navamsha. It's an interesting situation, right, where Sun is completely debilitated, so it may indicate a kind of a very big dangerous situation for one particular, for a ruler, you can say anywhere in the world. It can be a kind of death of a ruler, or right, death of rulers, you can say, or a very big dangerous situation for some rulers. So that video we already made anyways. Based on the Navamsha, we we try to predict based on the Navamsha. The technique followed here is the planetary energies in the Navamsha on 4th May 2022. So there we observed almost all the planets are absent. Mercury is absent, Venus absent, Ketu absent, Rahu absent, Moon absent, because Moon, of course, some people debate. If somebody says Moon is not so comfortable in Scorpio, or it's almost debilitated. Point is 3 degrees of Scorpio in the regular Lagna chart we observe. So anyways, even Sun is debilitated in Libra, 10 degrees or something. So whatever, if you just, the debilitation is nothing but absence of something. So only Mars and Saturn are present here, and Jupiter is present here. 3 planets are present. As Mars and Saturn are just in opposition, then it's a kind of war situation, a pure war situation. The Jupiter in Leo is present there. So the minister, Jupiter is a minister, and Leo is a kind of kingdom. So Jupiter is also going, it's a kind of right, a minister at the court, and then Saturn and Mars in opposition. It's a pure war situation, a very big war situation. It's an interesting thing. That's what we made. So we'll continue our predictions related to Rahu's transit. So the technique applied here is the general trend is whenever a planet is sitting in a particular house, it's going to work on that particular house. So that is the limited technique we apply. But when you apply the technique, like every planet works for its nakshatra lord also, right, then you may need to observe where the nakshatra lord is also transiting. If I apply that rule, then there would be more predictions. And even if we involve the nature of the planets there also, then we may come across more predictions related to the nature of the planets there, involving the houses and right, and the planets occupying the houses. But thanks for watching this video. We'll try to meet in some other video.